Hello and welcome to the Live and Delight podcast. I'm Elizabeth Losi, the host and Akashic Records channel and Crystal Wisdom Keeper. Uh, Live and Delight is a project that stemmed originally from me hoping to open new roads for myself within my business, and it has accomplished what I didn't dare to dream of, which is to really merge crystals and Akashic records in ways that I've wanted to do for years and years. And so today happens to be a day when Venus and Mars are meeting together in the heavens, and they're meeting at 6 degrees of Aquarius. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to this at a different time. This is simply a way to tap back into the magic of that Hieros Gamos sacred union of masculine and feminine, the balance of both energies. And I've already opened the Akashic records for what we're doing today based on the crystals that wanted to speak to us. And we had just a beautiful collection of stones that wanted to come through. There are 8 stones. 8, of course, is this number of, that's not even true. There are 7 stones. There are 7 stones, and we have double Amazonite, a huge hematite, a really striking, it looks like a shark's tooth, quantum quattro stone. Usually I call quantum quattro chrysocolla when it comes out of my bowl, but this one is so clearly quantum quattro that I have to call it that. Also, rose quartz for love, labradorite for magic, and dragon's eye. Dragon's eye has been showing up all over the place recently. Dragon's eye and Amazonite. It seems that tapping into the deep mystery of the feminine and the deep mystery of the dragons, even before it was the year of the wood dragon, which it now is. Dragons, if you've been paying attention or even not paying attention, you cannot miss the return of the dragons. And if you're listening right now, you're probably as excited as I am by the return of the dragons to the earth plane. Like we've realigned in such a way that the dragons can be more present, as well as other members of the Fae community, like unicorns and fairies and other elementals. So given that today is this Hieros Gamos day, you are the records are already open. So since you're listening to this, you are tapping into the energy of the 21st of February, 2024, when Venus and Mars are conjunct. And so, you know, not to be heteronormative about it, but Venus represents the feminine principle and Mars represents the masculine principle. And as we are moving through this great turning or big shift, a paradigm shift, part of what is dying and being reborn in this paradigm shift is a balancing of the masculine and the feminine. The last 7 to 10,000 years on planet Earth have been dominated by a hierarchical, patriarchal system, which resulted in capitalism and colonialism and some not irreparable, but very nearly irreparable damage to the ecosystems of the planet. In its the extractive nature of capitalism, and so this is a really beautiful day to celebrate the rebalancing. And the largest stone in the spread of crystals that came to speak to us today, to be our teachers today, is hematite. And hematite is all about the balancing of polarity or opposites. Lots of the dying paradigm that is patriarchal and hierarchical has sort of structured our human brains to think of things in terms of opposites, up and down, good and bad, left and right, day and night, masculine and feminine, black and white, these things which seem to be naturally binaries. But what this emphasizes is actually binaries. If you think of like, oh, the left and right, the left hand and the right hand, it's not on different bodies. It's like you have two hands if you're a human, and you haven't suffered some kind of accident or a birth defect. You have two hands, and one isn't better than the other. One might be dominant for you, but they operate separately and together on a continuum. And so the record keepers today are saying that's the power of and message really of hematite on a day like today, to say, yeah, the masculine and the feminine aren't meant to be opposing forces. They are meant to be merged and like two faces of a coin. Again, heads or tails. We recognize that you humans feel like it's important to split things apart, but this moment in your timeline, your human timeline, is all about merging. It's all about recognizing that separation, you can't have separation without togetherness. And so a binary, we do want you to consider the two sides of a coin. It is a single coin. You can't sort of split that coin in half down the thin side and have it be meaningful. It's a both and. That's what we're saying. It's a both and. So lean into the and. Lean into that, like, okay, how can I recognize that binary thinking or looking at opposites is actually, if I take a look at it from a greater distance, more perspective, a divine perspective, how can the either or become a both and? Because it's not separate. And so that hematite is, it's a grounding force, and it is also inviting you to really feel the blessing of the both and, as you may be called at first blush to think in an either or way. And the rose quartz here is reminding you also that, and not to go into a place of self-judgment if you are thinking either or. You've been trained that way. In many lifetimes, you've lived that way, either or, good, bad, right, wrong. Now it's time to see that these are not separate, but are two sides of the same coin. And so there is, this calls up a greater sense of wholeness and wisdom, a deeper layer of wisdom. So don't judge yourself. The double stone, we have a multiple double Amazonite. Amazonite is a stone of speaking your personal truth. It also is a stone of passage. It marks a juncture, a death and rebirth, the end of something and the beginning of something new. And Amazonite, this double Amazonite, again, we love that there are two, just like there are two planets converging on this day. Two planets which are, reportedly very different, and yet can come together in a delightful way. Of course, they're meeting at 6 degrees of Aquarius, which is 6 is the number of the lovers in the major arcana of the tarot deck. So that adds further spice to the richness of this crystal spread and the energy of this day of merging. But it doesn't mean that if you yourself feel non-binary that you can't participate, or if you are not in a hetero relationship, that you can't participate in this energy. It's not about what parts you have attached to your body. It's how you feel. And every person, whether they are aware of it or not, has both masculine and feminine in them. Every project has both masculine and feminine in it. And so this is a day where you're being especially reminded of that, of the merging, of the yes and, of the beautiful symmetry and the balance, where two become one, and this wholeness. And Amazonite is a stone of courage. It does take courage to sort of step out in front of conventional wisdom and say, you know what? I'm done thinking like that. I'm done thinking in like binaries being separate. I'm starting to think in terms of binaries being two sides of the same thing, merged. After the hematite, the biggest stone in this whole is a really interesting, and maybe I'll post in the show notes, I'll post an image. It's actually quantum quattro, and there's a lot of smoky quartz there, which adds to the grounding of the dragon's eye and the hematite. But the quantum quattro itself looks a lot like a shark's tooth. It's quite big and it's very pointy, and the tip of that point is bright blue. So full of shadokite and chrysocolla. And so this is about wisdom. It's about also about speaking your truth. It's merging of the heart and the throat and the third eye. These fourth, fifth, and sixth chakras come together along with the first chakra, with the smoky quartz in there, to really kind of ground these new expressions of truth, these new expressions of divine wisdom that are coming through, these new expressions of truth and possibility. There's also that large rose quartz that reminds you that this is all about love. And again, the Akashic field in which you're playing with us right now is a field of pure love, of pure bliss, zero judgment. So even if you don't identify with a hetero relationship, love is not limited to any single type of relationship or any single gender expression. It is the building block of the universe. And alongside the rose quartz is a beautiful, very clear labradorite, which speaks to us of magic. What magical possibilities can emerge from this new way of experiencing the world, rather than sort of split apart and fighting with each other, but merged and working together to create new things. This whole idea of two sides of the same coin. Think about what a coin represents. It represents abundance. It represents meeting your needs. It represents growth. It represents opportunity. And so that's really part of the magic that is here today in this Venus Mars merging at 6 degrees of Aquarius. And finally, the smallest stone that we have here, it's the same size as the two Amazonites. And in my method of crystal pole readings, the multiple, or the largest stone is trumped by a multiple. So the multiple here, Amazonite, is matched with the smallest stone, which is Dragon's Eye. And I love how it's 2 and 1 together. Also, just take a moment to like tap into what dragon means to you, and especially Dragon's Eye. The dragon's eye not only searches for treasure, but it you cannot fool a dragon's eye. There is no secret from that can be kept from a dragon's eye. It sees through hazy layers of confusion, or the desire to deceive. It is absolutely a knower of truth, and it brooks no bullshit. There's no hiding from the dragon's eye. Not only that, the dragon's eye is this deeply fierce mystery. The dragon is interesting as a mythic creature because it, in and of itself, this is new information for Elizabeth, but it makes total sense. In and of itself, the dragon sort of represents that Hieros Gamos energy of the sacred marriage of masculine and feminine, the merging of the two sides of masculine and feminine. It is deeply protective and incredibly feminine, but also does have, um, to a degree, a masculine aspect, um, in the sense that you cannot come between it and what it protects. You just can't. There are scales there that, um, offer its armor, uh, and it reaches out in a more masculine way with its fiery breath, but also it contains the uh, that zero cosmic egg of all creation. And so the dragon itself, especially this red dragon, this deep earthy dragon, generally speaking, the first chakra is associated with the planet Mars, and the second chakra is associated with Venus. And so here we have this deep red of the dragon's eye stone representing the red planet Mars, and then the um, pink rose quartz representing the Venus. And lots of blue green stones, and green being Venus's color in terms of finances, but also in terms of think of uh, the richness of spring and Beltane and the sign of Taurus. Ruled, Taurus is the feminine expression within the zodiac of Venus's rulership. And so the message today, um, and we might have a little bit of time to unpack some of this, but the message of today is revel in the idea of merging and wholeness, and that despite what it might appear, um, the world is not actually splitting itself apart. That is more propaganda. The world is actually coming back to a place of fluid merging, uh, as in along a continuum, containing all of it, one end of the spectrum to the other. The spectrum is the whole thing, but also you can bend both ends of the spectrum to meet in a circle. That circle is the symbol of the feminine. So I am going to invite my question asker here, um, to see if there's another question that she thinks is appropriate for today's message.
Is there a message of delight that you'd like to focus on?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah, this merging is delightful, right? It is totally delightful. It's the part of the delight is the sheer newness. It's not really new, it's quite ancient, but it feels new because this patriarchal paradigm in which all of you humans have lived many, many times over now, simultaneous or mm, sequentially, um, you've been taught, and so that you're in the Western mind in particular, the structures are set up to believe in like right and wrong, and this kind of Manichaeistic, um, black and white. There is no gray area. We would say, okay, yeah, gray is not all that interesting, but it is a mixing of black and white. Why don't you think of it more as the rainbow spectrum? Because that's really what this is. And if you delight in a rainbow, and everyone does, that is the thing to hold on to. That is the thing to hold on to because um, the splitting of light creates that rainbow. It's contained. Everything is contained within this. And everyone can find their truth within the rainbow. Doesn't matter if you're more uh of an indigo frequency or a violet frequency or an orange frequency, whatever frequency you are, you have your home within the rainbow, and um, that light and that love are the truth. And um, there is uh, lots of, we're going to call it propaganda. There is lots of propaganda. And oftentimes within the spiritual community, recently in the last several years, it has been, there's a lot of darkness masquerading as light. And trust, trust your heart, the truth of your heart on this. Is it, is it better to love everybody, or is it better to hate certain people? Um, and uh, loving people can go from um, not liking what they do or say, but recognizing that they have the right to exist, to being completely enamored with them. That's the spectrum. You might not like a certain person, but you can love them. And that love is expressed in allowing them to be who they are without interference. And that is also freedom. And freedom is the expression of Aquarius. And with Pluto having entered Aquarius 32 days ago, as of this recording, um, you're already getting this sense of really deep implantation of truth and wisdom, and uncovering interesting, um, transformative power of Pluto in Aquarius. Again, it's been, you know, nearly a quarter of a millennium since Pluto has been in Aquarius for any amount of time, and uh, it will change many things. And so at this point, yes, find your delight in the notion that um, no matter how things appear in the outpicturing of the world, really, um, there, the energy that is at play right now on planet Earth and throughout the solar system and beyond is this new energy of fluidity and merging and freedom and trust and divine expression and love and delight. And so we leave you with that thought that, you know, there, you might have to turn over some rocks, but the delight is there. Hold on to it where you find it. And in fact, it might be hidden behind things that um, where you wouldn't expect to find it. Let it be kind of a scavenger hunt if you find it delightful to participate in a scavenger hunt. Look for the delight and the love everywhere because it is there. And it's in the truth as well. So I'm going to invite you to call your spirit back as I close these Akashic records, thanking the Akashic record keepers and the crystals who came to play with us today. Thank you, thank you. And I call my spirit back. Yeah, just inviting you to call your spirit back again, wherever you are as you listen to this. Closing the records by saying, love for life and all it holds. We step into the world with love and joy. Amen. The records are closed. Until next time, I invite you to live in delight. And if you would like to have a crystal message or have your Akashic records channeled for you or your business, reach out to elizabeth@elizabethlosi.com and please share the delight. Thank you for being here. Until next time.